Welcome back, everybody. My name is Andrew and this is Kite Army. See these pavers right here, this sidewalk? This sidewalk has seen better days. Trust me, it was installed about 10 years ago, and at the time, it looked beautiful. But over the 10 years, I've got weeds, I've got cracks, I've got pavers that lifted up. It's a mess, it needs to be cleaned up, and that's exactly what we're gonna do here today. We're gonna restore these pavers to their original beauty. Here we go. So let me show you some of the problems we're dealing with up close. First off, you can see I got moss here, I got some sort of weed, there's no sand in here, so this paver's not stabilized. You want to get that sand in there so that paver won't move around. The other big concern I have is this paver right here is actually higher than this paver. You can see there's a tripping hazard right here, so I got to level out this paver so it's nice and flat. All right, guys, we're almost ready to start the project, but before we do, I want to give you an overview of what we're going to do here today. First off, I've got a really special sand here to fill those joints. It's called polymeric sand, and basically it's a sand that has a glue mixed with it, which will activate when you wet it, and that will stop the weeds from growing through. It'll lock in that paver, and if you do it right, guys, and this is the most important thing, it may never require doing it again, so let's make sure we do it that way. So to complete this project, there's basically 3 steps. The first step is cleaning the pavers with a power washer. We're trying to get all that debris out of the joints there so the sand will go in. We want to get rid of the algae, any weeds, just make it look nice and tidy. The second step is adjusting any pavers that have shifted around, no longer level, and I'll show you how to do that. The third step is putting the sand in and locking those pavers in. Now for step 1, the power washer. Do not worry if you do not have a gas-powered power washer, like something crazy. I'm going to use this little compact Ryobi 1600 PSI power washer, and as long as you're meticulous, you'll get this clean. Now you can use the standard power washer wand to clean. You can see I've got a turbo nozzle on here, or you can use one of these surface cleaners right here. The idea behind this is water comes in the top here, it spins this guy right here and will clean your surface. The nice thing about this is it's a lot less messy. All right, guys, we just finished power washing. Look how good this looks. It looks awesome. I can't even believe it. I could probably stop here and be happy, but we're not done yet. Let's look at this space here on the joints. You can see it's wide open. It'll take sand perfectly. So let's move on to the next step and level these pavers. So there absolutely is a method to my madness. The reason why in step 1 we power wash is because we want to blast all that crud that is holding those pavers in away, and that will make step 2, which we're going to work on now, much easier. It's because you can get underneath those pavers and lift them out. Now the tools you're going to use for this step are first a flat-headed screwdriver, nothing special here, just a pretty thin flat-headed screwdriver. The next thing you're going to need is a putty knife, something like this. It doesn't have to be like this, but you know, this is the idea. Now this is the tool that's a little unique, so you might have to look around for this. This is kind of a metal pick. The idea of this is you can get beneath the paver and lift it up. Now the last thing you're going to need is a rubber mallet. The reason why I say rubber mallet is you do not want to damage those pavers. You see, that doesn't hurt, and it won't hurt your pavers either. So let's move on to step 2 and get these pavers level. So here's the paver I showed you at the beginning of the video. You can see it's not level, so you've got a tripping hazard here. We're gonna remove this paver and get it re-leveled. First, you use your screwdriver to remove any dirt that might be in the joint. Once you're done with that, get your pick, put it down. When you get it underneath, spin it and lift up. Now it's gonna take some effort here, and you kind of gotta lift up evenly. You can see that guy's in there real good. There we go. There we go. Now we know the paver was high on this side, so we definitely want to remove some material on this side. Also, I'd clean off the sides here so it will go in easier, and then when you sand it later, it will fill those joints. let's put the paver back in and test fit it. Looks pretty good. Rubber mallet time. All right, now look at this, guys. Okay, pretty close, a little bit more. All right, guys, I'm really happy with that result. Check this out, there's no more tripping hazards. It looks great. I've got a nice joint here for sand. It's nice and level. So I've got about 10 more pavers I've got to adjust. This took me about 2 or 3 minutes per paver. So I'll be done here shortly. All right, guys, it is time to add the sand. So let me go over the materials you need for this step. First off, make sure you have your polymeric sand. Then make sure you have a really good nozzle so you can just gently spray down the sand so it won't blast it all over the place. It's handy to have a good blower. That way, once you're done spreading the sand around, you can blow it off. You don't want any sand on top of the pavers because it will stick to the pavers. And lastly, you need a good brush. So the other thing you should consider is make sure you've got a really dry day when you do this process. Also, make sure your forecast has a few dry days in the future. That way, you'll get the best results. All right, guys, it's starting to look really good here. We're seeing great results. You can see the sand filled in the joints perfectly. It's nice and even. There's no gaps. It looks great. So the next step is to use a leaf blower to blow off any sand that's on the surface of the pavers. All right, guys, it's time for the last step, and that is wetting down the polymeric sand. Set your sprayer to a really gentle spray. Just wet those joints. Do not saturate it completely. You don't want to wash that polymeric sand away. Nice and gentle. Here we go. All right, guys, here's the big reveal. Look how good this looks. It looks almost as good as it did when it was brand new. I cannot believe the results here. Everything looks nice and tidy. It looks so clean. So why don't we look at some before and after photos so you can remember how nasty this thing was. Well, guys, this project far exceeded my expectations. This thing looks awesome. So if you take on a project like this and you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Make sure you check out all my other content. And most importantly, guys, be safe out there, and I'll see you around real soon.